Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, and everything in between. I'm taking it back to basics with this one. Come on, get the energy up, people. Get the energy up. Back to basics. This is textbook rejection. And it's comical because it's the contrary to what is promoted as the right means of doing things in a lot of different media. And a lot of discussion stemming from people who don't really know how to get anything. So, this is about the man who chases too hard. He chases too hard, right? Dynamically, this is backwards. It shouldn't be the case. It should be in a perfect world. Her chasing you, her pedestalizing you, her approaching you, perceiving you as something above and beyond the value that she possesses. So in order for her to metaphorically level up her life, her lifestyle, her status and so forth, she needs to be wanting at the very least to pursue you. Now, that's not to say you can't have a bit of fun and chase a woman and make her laugh and make her giggle and put a bit more effort in and be in pursuit per se, right? As it can work, you can, if given that she's single, given that you're playing, a respectable game, you can probably break her barriers down a little bit. She realizes you're not that bad. She realizes she's starting to feel something for you, and she will eventually say yes. But generally, 90%, 95% of the case, it's just not the thing. And the representation in that game, the game of pursuit, the game of pursuing women, the representation of that game is contrary to what you want to be as a man. You see the men who have to chase women because women don't chase them. And the general market of these men aren't advertising the qualities you want or need to be an attractive man. When you chase, it's a showcase of scarcity. Because why would you chase that woman if you already have women, or if you already have women in particular that are of above a higher standard than her? Okay? You have to be honest with yourself. And you have to be honest with the reflection you see in the mirror when identifying your own value. People say, if you believe, you achieve. And people talk on the law of attraction. If you just believe and blah, 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 blah. I mean, to some degree, yeah. But generally, this is delusion as opposed to competence. You want to be in a position where your belief stems from reality, stems from genuine self-understanding through trial and error, and you are more powerful and more attractive as a man. This is important what I'm about to say. You are more attractive and more important as a man if you're realistic on where you stand in the sexual marketplace, because then you can play to your strengths and your position, whereas most men just believe because they can't believe otherwise that they are a top tier man, and it's like, no, that's not the case. So the women you consistently have to chase, have to pursue, because they're never ever going to chase you, because you don't represent a standard of the men they are around, that they are present within, that they garner attention from, because you don't exist within them realms. And trust me, you think you're the most handsome man on planet Earth. You think you're 6'6" and amazing and bald and that, bruh. If she's a beautiful woman, trust me, it's so she could have a multi-millionaire, billionaire drop her a message in the inbox. Yeah, there's levels to it, and the escalation and the tangent of the value of the woman, given she looks a little bit better than the next woman. You know, it elevates exponentially. And your height isn't going to compare to the other factors involved. The status of the celebrity, the abundance of benefit, the resource the wealthy individual could provide for her and her kids of tomorrow, and so forth. There's a biological imperative that resides above and beyond what the general man deems as what the woman wants, you know? Too close-minded. So, given the man perceives himself as more valuable than he is, more than likely in his youth as well, you know, he starts to get a little bit more attention, if not gets the attention from a girl he finds acceptable as he gets older, as her value diminishes in the marketplace and his heightens, and he's unaware of this mathematical, economical relationship between man and woman. He gets with her before the tipping point, before he actually does have multiple crowds, a nation, a world, a universe of women pursuing him, because he has matured well into his years. And that's what that woman wants, what she didn't want before. As she meets you, as her value descends and yours ascend, and you meet this ground, suddenly the man who was chasing has finally got a woman or two who is chasing him, and he just settles for the first thing because he's not experienced this, and he's thankful that it's come, not knowing that the years to come are going to garner him an abundance of these women. She doesn't want you to chase her. She only wants you to chase her if you showcase the potential of an individual that she can be with. But if you were perceived as someone she wanted or somebody who was valuable, she wouldn't allow you to chase her. She would respond and react, you know? She wouldn't run away. She wouldn't play this coquette, yes? Because each time you take a step behind her, each time you send that story response, each time you drop her a text message after the last conversation went dry, each time you follow her lead in the workplace when your attractive colleague sort of, who's in a relationship, just gives you a giggle and a wink. And I've seen this 100,000 times over. That's why I'm so precise with that. She gives you a little wink and a giggle, and you start pursuing her again because she's had a bad experience with her boyfriend and she needs someone to stroke her ego. She's got a boyfriend who's going to dick her down still and not give her the attention, but you serve your purpose to allow her to recalibrate where she stands in the sexual marketplace when she's a little bit doubtful, when she's a little bit anxious because her partner is not giving her that degree of actual attention, you know. She perceives him as better than her because she's chasing him. And indirectly, her attention seeking from you is a means to understand that her boyfriend is better than you both. because he doesn't need to do that. And you giving her attention and you chasing her allows her to know that not only are you below her, but you are below her boyfriend as well. The 5% of men who pursue and are successful, the 5% of men who, you know, chase and chase and chase, this is beyond just like going up and saying hello to someone. I mean somebody who actively chases, tries to get a date, tries to get a number, you know. It's not a natural process. It's not a simple engagement. It's a consistent pursuit of making a connection. It's a negotiation. It's a persuasion, right? That woman goes into the shop and sees something she wants to buy. She goes up and buys it, yeah? She doesn't need a salesperson trying to upsell her this random other product she doesn't want and didn't initially want. Some of them might buy for their own particular reasons. Maybe too much pressure's been applied and, all right, I'll give you my number. Maybe, you know what I mean, so on and so forth. We don't need to delve into that, but you have to apply it in the realm of sales as well. That which is perceived as valuable is purchased, is marketed well, garners the attention from others, is received well, gets positive reference, which creates this ever progressive establishment of feminine attention as the word of mouth develops. You know? If you're having to chase for that attention and it works, you know, you do manage to sort a date out, you do manage to sleep with her potentially, then you are in a small percentage of men. And the reason you had to pursue and take so long and spend such a painful investment in doing so is probably down to the fact that she was uncertain as to whether you were of value, and you managed to sell yourself during that process, which the majority aren't doing, because the men who have value that she's interested in aren't chasing her. And this is the problem, because when you first start, or when you have an established presence, or when you're a young man, especially when you're a young man, this is the resistance you're going to get, and you're going to think there's something wrong with you. But there's nothing wrong with you. It's just the way our biological reality works. Not only do these women want an older man, but they want a man with status and resources and independence and experience and this multitude of variety to their character. And that depth of character only comes through life experience, only comes through genuine hardship and error and building yourself up and so on and so forth. And your 19-year-old doesn't have that. He can't have that. Your 21-year-old doesn't have that. He can't have that. Your 23-year-old doesn't have that. He can't have that. And then as these people start getting older and older, they start understanding the power of their masculine identity and everything they have gone through and invested into themselves and built. It all starts to make sense year by year by year by year by year. Okay? So that's what I have to say. And when I say that, I did mean to implement a relationship with the topic of discussion, which is the chasing of the woman. She doesn't want you to chase her, and when you're young and naive and being fed this garbage information that pedestalizes the woman and confuses the society, because if you are to outwardly chase, you know, you are deemed toxic. You know, if you are to aggressively pursue a woman, you come across as creepy or aggressive or so on and so forth, which, don't get me wrong, a lot of men are. There is a seesaw here, and there's a dynamic, and you know, a black pill subscribed individual now would say, well, the idea of someone being creepy is purely based on their aesthetic, on how she perceives the way he looks and who he is. Kind of. But the man who she perceives as genuinely attractive through who he is and the essence of who he is and what he has validated to her, he's not going to need to aggressively pursue her. He's not going to get to the point of looking needy or creepy, because when he knocks on her door, she's going to open that door for him. There's not going to be space for him to try and break in to the housing of her mind, you know? So that's a little food for thought as far as chasing women is concerned. I come from a background where I've had a very, very, very low foundation and a low ceiling. You know, I don't come from a background where I have a family who have provided any degree of abundance, right? Or security net or safety and whatnot. So as far as my value in the public eye, it's not been an easy journey to create a momentum within the sexual marketplace, you know, as a young man. But let me tell you, through the resistance and the friction I have felt, given my circumstances, I have elevated myself, and now being in position where I can rub noses with those who are a little more, resourcefully free, better space to maneuver due to family connections and the, for lack of a better term, nepotism. I see that they don't run a good game, and they showcase a childishness that one who hasn't grown through the mud has had to learn. In esoteric cultures, they use... One moment. In esoteric... my apologies, people. I didn't know if my system was running. In esoteric cultures, they symbolically use the lotus flower, right, to show beauty through hardship, as the lotus flower stems from the bottom of the murky waters, grows upwards through the muck, through the disgusting brown waters, and blooms once it reaches the top. An explosion of colour as it reaches the sun, as it reaches enlightenment for all to see. And that's a little game to finish off with. With that being said, click like and subscribe, people. One love. Goodbye.